Peace, everybody. Welcome to Mindset of a Sage. You already know it's me. So, first off, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody that's been subscribing, right? I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys giving me a chance to express my thoughts. And I appreciate you guys taking time to listen. So, if you watch my last video, you know that awareness becomes responsibility. But there's a level that most people never reach. The reason people never reach that level is because awareness does not mean control. Most people are aware of their thoughts, they're aware of how they feel, and they react off those emotions. So the real question becomes, what do you actually control? What's actually in your control? Because we know it's not people, we know it's not outcomes, it's not situations. The only thing you truly control is your response, your reaction. Either you responding or you reacting. That's it. And the moment you embrace that, your entire experience on this earth, in this physical realm, changes. You create a whole new way of existing. The minute you understand the difference between reacting and responding. Okay, let's break it down. So most people move through life trying to control things that they was never meant to control. Okay? You're trying to control other people, trying to control how those people feel about you, trying to control the timing, trying to control how situations unfold, right? All of these things we're trying to control, right? And so the truth is, none of those things are actually in our control at all. And this is why we get such dis-ease from it. You can't really make people do what you want them to do. You can't force situations that way, right? You can't make a person or make things kind of comply to you in that way, right? There's a way to manifest things. Those that are tapped in, you know that, but you can't physically make people do stuff. And that's why when those things don't go your way, you start to feel disconnected. You got great dis-ease. You're feeling overwhelmed with pressure, different types of anxieties, right? Because you are actively trying to control situations or control this person, and it's just not working out. And it's not working out because life is against you. See? Things are not going your way because everybody is against you. The world hates you. That's not what's happening here. Most times things are going against you because you've placed your sense of control in the wrong place. The truth about control is one of the greatest illusions that we have. You can influence things, you can participate in outcomes, you can assist in different journeys. For sure you can do those things, right? But control is much more limited than people think. In the last video, we talked about how awareness becomes responsibility. But that's where most people stop. They stop because they have become aware of their own triggers, their own patterns, and their own emotions, right? But awareness alone doesn't change anything. And this goes back to something that I always say, which is knowing is only half the battle. You have to be able to put what you know into real time. This is one of the greatest illusions about people around us when we hear things, right? And they use words in certain sentences together and it sounds really good, but in the end they don't have anything to show for what they're talking about, right? Nothing really tangible. And so eventually people are able to see through that, but most people can't, especially if they don't have the awareness. So awareness alone doesn't change anything. If you don't have awareness without intention, because if awareness is not followed by intention, it simply becomes observation without transformation, right? So it's just like knowing something, but not putting anything into practice. See? So you just got a bunch of words. And when people are good with words, they usually putting spells on you like that, you know? And that's why you'd be like in a trance somewhat, you know, and take you a minute to like really see this person don't got nothing to show for what they talking about here. You know what I'm saying? Because they so clever with words. So you have to be mindful of that when you're hearing these things. And remember that words are just words. Words are so unique, right? Let me tell you. So words can mean absolutely nothing at all, right? Just a bunch of words that you spoke. They don't have no weight. They don't mean nothing. But then words can mean everything. Absolutely everything. Change your whole life because of what somebody said to you, and depending on when they said it, right? So that's the thing about words. You be mindful of them, see? But remember, when words don't have actions, somebody trying to put a spell on you, essentially. They're trying to put you in a trance, in a euphoric state about something that may not be real, okay? Now, the moment you become aware, you're responsible for how you engage, okay? Now, this is where responsibility comes in, because the moment you become aware, now you are responsible for how you engage in this, see? And this is where we take our accountability. Now, this part is important because you're not responsible for what happened most times, all right? Be mindful of that. But you are responsible for how you respond or react to this, okay? Now, the reason why this is so important is because this is where the shift begins, one way or the other, right? Now, the truth about most people is they don't respond to life. They react to it. Now, why do I say that? Because reaction is immediate. It's conditional. It's emotional. It comes from past experiences, old patterns, and unexamined beliefs. Someone says something, you react. Something doesn't go your way, you react. You feel any type of dis-ease, you react. Now, why are you reacting? Because it's emotional. You see? And this is what leads to reactions. Now, the truth about that is, when you're in those moments, you're definitely not in control. Your conditioning is. So even though you feel like you're in control, right? Because you're the loudest one maybe, or you got all this energy, or maybe you even have right on your side in this case, to justify it in your mind. You're still not in control when you're reacting. You just got to know that. Your conditioning is in control. What you've been through, right? What you think you know, and how your perception registers to all of this. And this is how you're reacting. And this is why you're on go right now. You see? And that's it. I know a lot of times we like to put a bunch of different things into why something is happening, but no, that's pretty much it. You are responding based off your conditioning, and not responding, rather. You're reacting based off your conditioning, right? Based off the things that's happened to you, based off what you know, and based off your perception of what it is you think you know. This is this is how you're reacting, and this is what's causing the reaction. Whether that's volatile or not, this is it. Okay? Now, response is something totally different, because response requires awareness. And I told you awareness is responsibility. Now, when you're being responsible, this means you're what? Response able. You're able to control your response. And by controlling your response, it creates a space. And in that space, you get to choose. See, reaction is going to ask you, how do you feel right now? And that answer could be mad as hell, right? Or whatever it is, right? And that's what you're going with. And sometimes when those things get like inflamed and raged up so much, that's all you can see, right? And that's why reacting is so dangerous, because it's so emotional. You never know what the hell you may say or do. But response is going to ask you, who do I choose to be in this moment? And this is the most significant difference, because who you choose to be in this moment is different than you just reacting. See? So you don't get to control what happens. You don't get to control how people behave, period. You can manipulate it, but you don't get to control it. You don't get to control outcomes. You don't get to control timing, or none of that. See? And be grateful, because that's way too much to try to control. You're trying to control people. You're trying to control how things go. You're trying to control the timing of it. Please, all right? Give yourself a break. Fortunately for us, what we do have control of is much simpler. We get to control our attention, how we interpret that, and then how we respond to that or react. But isn't that beautiful? You don't got to worry about other people's behavior and how shit is going to go and trying to control the timing of all of that. No, you don't have to do that. It's much easier. All you got to worry about is what you pay attention to, how you interpret it, and then how you respond to that. And that right there is the true control. However, that's not enough for most people, okay? Just being able to control that is not enough. People want to control everything, believe me. And that's why there's so much dis-ease and anxiety that comes from people when you're trying to control shit. You just can't sit there and... So it's the same way, let me tell you about, like, when you know everything's going to work out, you know it's going to work out. But when you're trying to control everything, you need to see how it's going to work out, right? Same thing, a person tell you they okay. If you don't look at what they're talking about and think that's okay, you're not going to believe them. See? That's the thing about control. Somebody say they're all right, you don't believe it, you're going to try to control that and change that. And the unfortunate thing about that is you can't control or change a damn thing but what's going on with yourself. And the best thing we can do for anybody, your kids, your wife, your husband, your friends, your neighbors, anybody you know, the best thing you can do for them is get your shit together, right? Elevate yourself, improve yourself, be the best version of yourself that you can be. And you're going to help everybody out that's around you. See? And this is the best thing you can do because this is going to help you mind your business. And the more you mind in your own business, the better you're going to be, right? The more you're involved in other people's business, trying to control all of this, what's going on over here, what's going on over there, who need advice, no one. Advise yourself, take your own instructions, and watch your life get much better than it is now. See? But again, that's not enough for people because why? People also like to be praised and commended. This is why most people will tell you what's going on before they actually get anything going on, right? So you'll know about the idea and what they planning on doing before they even get started. See? Praise. All part of control, man. That's all it is. Real power comes from mastering the only thing that was ever yours. The only thing that's truly yours. Who you are in the moment something happens. That's it. You don't control the situation. You control the version of yourself that reacts to it. Isn't that much more powerful though? Isn't that much more like tangible as far as control goes? You don't have to worry about the outcome. See, whatever happens, hey, it's not in your control. You get to control the version of you that meets this. See, that's going to deal with this situation. That's your power. You get to control that part of it. And that is all you ever really need to control. So what does this look like in real time, right? Because one thing about this platform is unique to any other platform because it's an each one teach one platform. Now, of course, mindset of a sage, that's me. I'm like the face of it, the figurehead of it, but this is a platform for the people. That's because each one teaches one here. Like I'm evolving and growing on this journey right now as we speaking, because remember this, everybody, there's great value in difference. So always try to find value in difference. Don't look for clones, right? And be mindful of people that's constantly agreeing with everything you say you want to do, especially a person when you ask them what they want and they say whatever you want and whatever you want to do all the time, because that's not true at all. This is a person that's placating to you and essentially trying to lower your guard. And what's going to happen is you're going to become too comfortable in that and you're going to get caught off guard when that person's true intentions are revealed. So be mindful of that, all right? Embrace people's differences and you're going to find a lot of synergy there, okay? But back to the point, what does this look like in real time? Something happens before you react or respond, pause. Just think for a minute. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now, right? What is my mind telling me to do? And after you examine that, you got to see where that's coming from. Is this emotional here, right? Am I about to react or am I going to respond? Because remember, I told you, responding is choosing who you want to be, right? And you get to choose what version of you meets this. So this is important because you got to ask yourself, is this getting ready to come from my conditioning? Is what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling coming from conditioning? Because it's no excuses. It's no excuses. Everything is an excuse. Believe me. What did you do? That's it. It's always all that's going to matter. What you meant, okay. What did you do? And then you got to own that without explanation. And that's hard for a lot of people to do as well because they always want to try to explain something, right? We know that. Now, remember, I told you when something happens to take that pause. Now, why is that pause so important? Because once you pause, this is where your true control comes in, right? Because the pause is what's giving you an opportunity to be the best version of yourself or not. Because like I just got finished telling you, man, once you say or do whatever it is, that's it. You can't take it back. So you have to be mindful that you what? Saying what you mean and meaning what you say, or saying what you want to be said and doing what you want to do in regards to that, as opposed to it just happening and you like, damn, I didn't mean to say all of that or say it that way. I didn't mean to do all of that and do it that way. There's no room for that. You got to remember, it's no room for that. Now, the beautiful thing about life is it's always going to present things that you did not plan for. Unexpected events, different trials and tribulations, all different type of things that occur in life. This going to happen. All those things I just stated are principles of life. But you and I, what we can change is how we show up. Because control isn't about dominating life. It's about mastering your response to it. Period. Anytime awareness enters a situation, reaction starts to lose its power. It's still a choice that has to be made because you have to move one way or the other. But awareness always brings in responsibility, which brings in accountability. It's just a matter of taking that stance to choose that. And most times it's not easy to do, especially if it's an anger driven, when emotion is high, because you want some instant gratification, some instant justice right now. You want to see it, you want to feel it, and all of that. And a lot of times it's never worth it. It's not worth it, rather. 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, whatever it is, it just ends up, you always can find a better way that you could have dealt with that, a smarter way, right? A way that was more advantageous for you, safer for you or your family, right? So this is why taking that pause and that deep breath to choose your response becomes so important. Remembering that control is not the loudest one in the room. Control is not about extremities. It's not about getting people to do what you want. That's manipulation, and different things like that. And the thing to be mindful of that is whatever you do to somebody else, you're doing to yourself. Whether it comes back that same way or another way, or whether it comes back to you or people around you. This is why I made a lot of shifts in my life, because I did not want to have those things come back to me. Now, the thing about that is, too, you can't have people around you close, that kind of are involved in things like that as well. So just be mindful of that, guys. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Look like it's getting ready to rain in a minute. In conclusion, I just want to remind everybody that of the great quote from Earl Nightingale, that we are exactly where we want to be. Only the successful like to admit that. Anybody that's somewhere right now that you don't want to be, you got to find a way to get from out of there if that's not where you want to be. Because everything else in between that is an excuse. And when you ask somebody what happened, they're going to tell you a bunch of things, but in the end, it'll just be the reason why they quit, but not the reason why they didn't get something done. Okay? And that's that. So, control your response. Choose to respond, not to react. Remember that emotion is reaction. And the more that you not in control of your emotions, the more you're going to be reacting. So when things happen and you feel that, you start to tense up there, understand what's going on. Don't fall for it. Don't go for it. You choose the version of yourself that you want to be in that. Now, if you choose to address that with a certain type of energy, that's fine as well. But own that and be accountable for that. And don't be standing around talking about somebody brought you out of your character and all of that. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Talking about what you ain't want to do, you know? All right, y'all. Peace.